Let's change tack. I am in charge of the liaison office for the Mediterranean Basin MED-ENPI program. I don't know if you have heard about it. Something I wanted to tell you is what are the activities, how the Sostenuto project, I wish also to congratulate Sostenuto for your very interesting activities and the perfect management, because as part of the structures, we also need to talk about management. I think that your management has been very good. Sostenuto has been is a product I recommend as a model to be taken into account for management. Is Sostenuto, could it be transferred to other Mediterranean areas? I think it could. Indeed, the activities that you have carried out could be transferred to other areas. But let's see what are the characteristics of the Mediterranean basin right now. And based on these characteristics and based on your activities, they overlap perfectly. So in the future, you could become promoters or attend calls for proposals for other projects. If we take a look at the main characteristics, culture, heritage, governance, the competitiveness of SMEs in the Mediterranean, what is taking place in the Mediterranean. As a cultural heritage, the Mediterranean is one of the most important regions in the world. In the Mediterranean only, there are 147 sites that have been declared World Heritage by UNESCO. There is a huge diversity, as you've said, in languages, culture, folklore, gastronomy. We have to take advantage of all this huge diversity we have around the Mediterranean. Innovation. We also have innovation not only from the viewpoint of businesses, but also how to use new methods to include culture as a new governance method, as well as entrepreneurial innovation using ICTs, new management methods for culture. This is the situation we're witnessing in the Mediterranean. See, if we compare this to the activities of the Sostenuto project, we are talking about 4 pilot actions, essentially. The crafts clusters, as well as actions as business incubators, exchange, and geographical organization as a consultancy method, as a method to transform our area. These are the 4 main actions that may match new calls for proposals, new programs for the Mediterranean. What do European partners require from us? A short time ago, we were in Catania, and we were very fortunate because we heard the Tunisian Student Syndicate or Students' Union representative, and because we wanted to link the north and the south shore of the Mediterranean, and they were very pleased, but not being patronized. They talked about 50% cooperation, participation to support SMEs, and particularly cooperation between technology institutes, businesses incubators, but always as peers and not as a patronizing relationship. And so the European Union has understood this change, the change in this operational method. We are talking about neighborhood, about being related to our neighbors. And this is the new program that exists to work with our neighbors in Northern Africa and the Middle East. How can we capitalize in Sostenuto the activities, the actions that you, and the good practice that you have prepared as a technician in European issues? I can tell you that there was a call for proposals. Svetla probably has told you about this. There is a call for proposals on capitalization. Well, I know that this is quite technical, but it's perhaps useful for the Sostenuto program. I suppose that partners and the leader of the project could be interested in knowing that there is a capitalization call for proposals that can be enlarged to other areas, not only for the same areas, but we can capitalize these initiatives to other areas. What are going to be the characteristics? How can we go about this? I have information about NP. There are similar projects, well, with some differences, but the emphasis is on culture and heritage resources to promote local development. For example, Archimed project, it is a neighborhood program, or other that promote democracy and values in a plural, open society. For example, the case of Regiland, or the promotion of culture. So if we carry out capitalization projects with partners that have taken part in this kind of programs, I believe our projects can be very enriching for both shores of the Mediterranean.
There are also other fields that are being promoted, for example, the audiovisual field. And I think that we have calls for proposals that include countries from the northern Mediterranean shore. And we can invite people to workshops or European Mediterranean partners where all of the activities would be financed. And so this would give us an opportunity to exchange activities with different programs. And we have the last call for proposals, which is being presented in the Palau street just near here at the moment. And this is the last call for projects on Mediterranean, Euro-Mediterranean issues. There is a budget of 2.5 million euros for different priorities, economic development, territorial improvement. This would be the first priority. Environmental improvement, mobility of people, capital and goods. And then we have an interesting priority, which would be cultural dialogue and territorial governance. And within the neighborhood program, they focus on culture as a new model for governance. And I think this would be the perfect issue, the perfect theme of a project for like Sostenuto. So there would be 80% of the budget that would be paid in advance, 50% of the activities should be based on win-to-win principles in areas in the south of the Mediterranean, but I'm sure there's no problem in finding places. Perhaps we have many places where we can do this. The projects should have a budget of 500,000 up to 2 million euros. The regulations are quite complicated, but normally it takes about 1 year for the project to be approved. I think that's the main handicap to this. The final date for presentation of proposals is the 29th of February this year, and therefore you should start work immediately and start looking for partners. There has to be a minimum of 3 countries, one from the north and one from the south, to be included. But normally it's best to have at least 6 countries to ensure that the project brings better results. The implementation period should be between 18 and 24 months. So these are the general outlines. And basically, I would like to encourage you to submit a proposal for a project. Obviously, it won't be a project like Sostenuto, but taking into account the features of the territories in the north of Africa, for example, I'm sure that you could have an added value, bring added value to your project if you work with these countries in the south. And to find partners, you should check out the webpage, www.enp.eu, and you can look for new partners in the whole of the Mediterranean. You'll also see some press articles on what people are doing in relation to Sostenuto or similar projects. Okay, thank you.